Welcome to the Generous Business Owner Podcast, where business owners gain inspiration and encouragement to live a legacy, not just leave one. And now your hosts, Jeff Thomas, Alan Barnhart, and Jeff Rutt.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's Generous Business Owner Podcast. My name's Jeff Thomas, and we've got a very special guest with us this week, Andy Weiner, who's the president of RockStep Capital. He's been doing this for the last 30 years. It's really a real estate company that's developed retail space all over America, something pushing 10 million square feet. Is that right, Andy?
It's right at acquired or constructed 10 million square feet.
Yes. Well, Andy, thanks for being with us today. It's a thrill
Excited to be here. Excited to be here, Jeff.
And Andy, we always just start with kind of a little bit of context. We're just storytellers on this podcast, and so tell us a little about where you grew up. I know there was a family business involved. I have a feeling you were put to work at a young age. Tell us about what it was like growing up in your family.
Yeah, so I grew up in Houston. I live in Houston still, Jeff. And my grandfather started a company called Weiner's Stores in Houston in 1926 and ended up with 159 stores. So it was a nice regional clothing store chain, men's, women's, kids, value-priced apparel. And I grew up in the business. And after college, that's where I did what I did. So I became head of operations. You know,
Okay.
I was on a first name basis with my boss. I called him Dad. So I grew up in operations. So I managed all the stores, opened the stores, did real estate. That's how I learned shopping centers, HR, logistics, finance, and just grew to be a student of retail.
Yeah.
And a student of shopping centers. I love retail and just had a great experience at our family business.
Well, I find you to be a thinker in many ways. So I think this is going to be fun to learn more about retail, but obviously you have a set of principles under which you operate your company now, more on the real estate side. But maybe take us through that. You know, we've got a lot of listeners who are in family businesses, have exited family businesses, that sort of thing, and they're blessings, but they can also be tough.
Yeah.
Do you have just a few stories about?
Look, through hard knocks, Jeff, I've learned a lot of lessons about family business. I think I'm an expert on them, and I think the biggest lesson is that whatever you do, you have to protect the wealth of the business. That is number one. And family involvement in a business has to come second to protecting the viability and wealth of the business. And so that's lesson number one. Lesson number two, you have to have governance in a family business that can resolve strategic conflicts.
Yeah.
We did not have that at Weiner's. We had two brothers, my dad and my uncle, who had veto power over each other. It was the governance left by my grandfather, and we had a strategic difference over how to manage inventory, which is the biggest asset in a retail company, and we could not resolve that difference. Okay, if we would have had a tie-breaking mechanism, an outside board,
it was just a 50-50.
It was 50-50, and we had
no tiebreaker.
No tiebreaker, dug in, can we buy you out? No. Can you buy us out? No.
No.
And we did what is called, Jeff, a Chapter 29. Okay. Do you know what a Chapter 29 is?
No.
Never heard of it?
No.
Come on, Jeff. I'm just kidding. Chapter 29 is 2 11s and a 7. Okay. So we went in an 11, came out, did another 11, and then did a 7. Okay. So I've only had one bankruptcy attorney who's ever figured that out. Anyway, You cannot live without consequences. You have to operate A+. And if you're not, because of family issues, different quality of family members in a business, different skill sets, poor governance, poor strategy over key investment decisions, you've got to operate A plus. Everything to protect the wealth of the business, and you've got to have a governance that is can resolve deadlocks. Got to have it.
I think this, thank you for sharing that because I think those are amazing lessons. Simple. They sound simple, but to execute them takes intentionality. Okay. It's not the default. You got to create those rules. And I think, there's some kind of survivor bias, especially on, even on this podcast, or the stories that get told.
Yeah,
Often they're the success stories, which are the minority,
sure.
frankly. And actually, I've been in Houston 35 years. I remember the
Yeah,
stores. Everybody who's been here as long as I have remembers that brand
yeah.
in Texas, and it lasted for how many years? Decades.
75 years.
I mean,
And
that's a heck of a run. It's not like 7 years
no,
they had a fight.
it was 75 years.
That's amazing.
And we were wiped out. I mean, we did
Yeah,
not have real estate. It was gone. So we had this huge business, and because we had strategic deadlock that we could not
right.
resolve, and we had poor management, inventory management strategy, that even if we were perfect, we might not have survived against the Walmarts of the world, but we didn't have a shot. Okay. We lost everything, and I had to start over again from zero.
Now this is what's amazing about this to me. Um, and we were just talking before we started recording that um, nobody's got it all figured out, right? A lot of this is just about, hey, we're all just on a journey. We picked up a few breadcrumbs from others. We're dropping a few, hopefully, for the folks behind us. Okay. Um, but what's really impressive to me is that you could have just kind of moped around and said, well, that was it, and just spend the rest of your life bitter about that. And, but you kind of picked it up, and it seems like I really like your openness about that because I think you've dealt with that and been able to move on and create this whole new organization you're still dealing with retail, but on the real estate side. So tell us about the new business and how some of the lessons from the old family business maybe inform the way you do things today.
Yeah. So I had to figure out, as we went through this chapter 29, I had to figure out how I could use my skill set of retail, real estate management, and start a business that I could excel in. I had to figure it
Right.
out. And so I started basically investing in shopping centers where my closest buddy, who was already in the business, agreed to train me.
Okay.
And I moved into an office of maybe 300 square feet and got to the office at 5 in the morning, and
Yeah.
and just
Just
plowed through.
right.
And on a personal level, Jeff, I had a very difficult marriage, and it was all of this was happening at
All
one
at one time.
time.
So the family business collapses, marriage is brutal, like all at once.
But that's another
How
story. But
old were
all of this
you when
happened
all
at
this
one
was
time.
going on?
What's
How
that?
old? How old were you when you
Uh,
started the new?
35.
Okay, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
25.
No, 35. And so I started doing development, and I didn't know that in real estate development, you don't make any money until you finish building.
Right.
Not only do you not have a salary, but you're spending money. Okay. You
Right.
have to hire engineers and architects and earnest money. And it was a very sobering time. But lo and behold, I started a process, and I started on a path, and I've probably done about 40 or 45 different shopping centers. Currently own 24. And I it's funny, my closest friend's name is Brad Schlosser, and his company was called Schlosser Development. And he's the one who trained me,
Yeah.
and he lives in Austin. And so I decided to create the name of my company, Weiner Development. And I had one of our investors come to me and say to me, "Come on, Andy, Weiner Development, come on, what a crazy name, okay?" what a crazy name. And like, it's like a joke around the bar or something. And so I changed the name to Rockstep Capital. And I did that because I love swing music, big band, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Sammy Davis Jr. I love that swing music from the 50s and 60s. And and the rock step is a dance move. So when you're couples dancing, whether it's ballroom or swing, with your partner, you're switching directions on count 7 and 8. 1 to 3, 1 to 3, rock step, ball pivot change if you are taking lessons, but dancers know what the word rock step is.
Right.
And it became a metaphor that in the sense that as a company, we want to be light on our feet. We want to be
Nimble.
nimble. We want to be agile.
Right.
We want to listen to the music in the industry. And
Yeah.
if there is an opportunity or if there is a problem, we got to switch directions. So
Yeah.
even though it's not a word in the dictionary, rock step, Jeff, we got a problem, we got a rock step. Jeff, we have an
Totally.
opportunity, we need a rock step. So we
Right.
use it as a verb.
Yeah. Nice.
And then most important about who we are, which is more important than what we do, is that I decided I had to write very detailed rules of behavior for our company.
Yeah.
And I wrote 26 very detailed rules of behavior. And of course, we call them rock steps. And I wrote these 9 years ago and created a ritual where every week for 26 weeks, we have a rock step of the week.
Right.
And we've got about 100 employees. We're vertically integrated. 10 o'clock Central Monday, everyone gets on a Teams call and we talk about the rock step of the week. This week is actually rock step number 1. So we just finished last week, rock step 26. And this week it's do the right thing always. So Antonio, who is our marketing guy, wrote an inspirational essay. What does it mean to do the right thing always? Look, we're in the investment business. It's a world of gray. You've got to always stop and say, what's the right way to handle this? And then last week, Lyric, who lives in Atlanta, who is one of our property manager accountants, she wrote an essay last week on uh, keep things fun, Rock Step 26. So this week, she makes some comments on the Rock Step of the week, do the right thing always, and then she calls it random. 2 people. Okay, Jeff, what does it mean to you to do the
Right.
right thing always? So everybody's on their toes
Right.
every week.
Right.
And they got to be prepared.
Yeah.
And then we do this next week is keep family first. Rock step number 2. You got to take care of your health. You got to take care of your family before you take care of rock steps. So these rules, these behaviors are the most important thing in our company. There's no number 2. I'm emotional about this. Tears to the mat. It is our ritual. I speak about it. It's how we hire. It's how we fire. Jeff, if you came to an interview for a position at our company, you would have to look at online at rockstep.com and then go to the Rockstep way. And you would be required to think about what are the 3 Rockstep that most resonates with you and why, and which ones are most challenging and why. And so I'm going to do it real quick. I already told you 2 of my 3 favorite. Do the right thing always and why. Keep family first, one of my favorite 3. And then rock step number 5, be punctual. On time is 5 minutes early, and if you're on time, you're late. It's all about courtesy.
Yeah.
And then my most challenging, Jeff, are be responsive, rock step number 6. I find it hard to keep up with all the inbound coming at me.
Yeah.
Rock step number 9, listen generously. That's the key word, generously. My wife would confirm to you that I've got room here to improve.
Right.
And then rock step 26, keep things fun. My wife would absolutely tell you, Andy, you take the fun out of fun. Okay. So I'm just very serious, Jeff.
Yeah.
So this is how we build trust. This is how we resolve conflict. And this is how we build a really high performance team. So we've got people from, very good companies in the real estate, and from Blackstone and from Brookfield and from CBL, who I believe one of the reasons they come to us is that they want to be part of a company that works really hard. We're not perfect to live by these rules. So this is who we are, and who we are is much more important than anything else we do.
I just think I think in the business world, let's just say in business school and any business teaching, coaching, everything, vision, mission, values, principles, everybody knows you should have these. But don't you think that for most people, these things are a little bit of academic exercises, and then you put them on the shelf
This is
and and you
this
kind
is
of forget
completely
about them.
different, Jeff.
And,
Completely
and and
different.
what I think is what really stands out in it, because it really comes through when you talk about it, is the importance of it defines the organization, what you're talking about with these rock step.
It is behaviors. It is
Right,
behavior. Yes or no? Okay. Don't be a jerk. Okay. And so that's rock step 23. And so what was really interesting, Jeff, I made two mistakes where I brought in a brilliant jerk, somebody who I
right,
thought
right,
was going to be transformative for the strategy and vision of the company. And I let my standards down.
right.
And so I should rephrase rock step 23, don't be a jerk, or we don't allow brilliant jerks. Okay. Because it's enticing to get
Yeah, it
somebody who's
is.
so strong, but who doesn't live by this. And we had to divorce. We
Right,
had to part company.
right. And that's
And it was,
painful. It's
oh my
painful.
God. Oh my
So
God.
painful.
And people called me on it. Andy,
Right,
Andy, these rock steps, he's not living by this stuff.
right.
And they were right. I
Yeah,
hate when people rock. I fire those people. I'm just kidding. No, I just I just kidding. But people call me on the rock steps. Andy, she's not living by these two rock steps. Come on, Andy.
exactly.
It's a real living, and this is different than kind of values on a wall. This is specific identifiable behaviors where you have to have a ritual. You have to have a
Right,
weekly, almost daily ritual of living these behaviors, and it's got to come from the top.
yeah,
Okay. It's got to, and this is that it's got to be something that reflects me or the leader of an organization, and you got to talk about it all the time, wherever you are.
right.
Okay. It is, and again, Jeff, we don't need to talk about anything else. This is everything.
It is.
This
It is
is
everything.
the most important thing we do. Okay.
Yeah, we started when we started Arcos, this multifamily office we run 9 years ago. Of course, I'd been in the industry a long time, but hadn't started our own business, and so you really have the freedom to create that mission, vision,
Yeah.
values, and then we have 12 principles, and we do the same thing. And I had a friend like you that uh, gave me this idea, and so from the very first week on Wednesdays, ours just happens to be on Wednesday morning. We have a firm-wide call where someone different in the organization every week is assigned,
Yeah.
okay,
Perfect.
mission, vision, and then values. What does that mean to them? Okay, there's four of those, and then the principle. There's a principle for each month is the way we do it, and then we repeat it 4 times with a different person, kind of doing their
Right.
essay, as you would say. About it's for me my favorite time of the week
Yeah.
because the unit you can feel the unity, and then the way that different people express it. They've thought deeply about it. I just, I mean, I get teary listening to other people express the way that they see this and are living this. I mean, I really think it's a simple idea that is generally overlooked.
It's got to be intentional,
Yes,
and it's got to reflect what the leadership truly wants in terms of behavior and the kind of team you want. And we want a very high performance team. And I believe that our 26 rules, we call them rock steps, if we are really emotional and consistent, we will we will have a high performance team. Again, not perfect. Let's don't fool anybody. This is we're not God, um, but it is what we strive for.
So, are you willing to share those that list, and we can put it in the show notes?
Absolutely, I'll
Okay.
send it to
Yeah,
you.
send it to me, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Okay,
The
hold on.
one
Let
that
me just make it.
what, what
I'm gonna have. I'm gonna send rock steps
yeah, send the rock steps to us. We'll
to
put it in the
Jeff.
show notes. One of the ones that I find challenging, we've talked about these, sort of pre-call. But because this is the Generous Business Owner podcast,
Sure.
I have this little list in front of
Yeah.
my computer here of forms of generosity. And
Yeah.
on those forms, words, time, thoughts, money, things, influence, attention. Attention to me, that's listening. Okay,
Yes.
that's one of your principles. And I love that you say it, listen generously. Isn't that the way you say it?
Generously is a key word.
Okay, let's unpack that for fun. Okay, I don't think I'm the best at that one either. In fact, I'd say I think my wife would also, frankly, about everybody would probably agree that I need to work on that one. Uh, let's talk about that. Why is that important?
Look, people want to be understood,
Hmm,
and that to listen generously is to take out all of the crap that's going on and being hiding that and not thinking what I want to say. Okay. And by the way,
right.
I give myself a C minus on
No, no,
this.
me too.
That's
Yeah,
um and it's how you move things forward if you can effectively listen, and generously is a key word. Okay.
hmm,
Now, when you were before you talked about listen generously, I was thinking about a different rock step.
hmm.
Okay. We just added a new rock step called make a difference.
Okay,
Okay.
let's talk about
Which
that
is
one.
very consistent with your organization and your
Right.
theme. And I want to share with you where it came from. So, you might remember Drayton McLean.
Of
Okay.
course,
Drayton,
I
the
know him.
owner of
Yes.
the Astros.
Yeah.
And, Drayton was in the retail business. And so I got to know
Right.
Drayton. And I was in his office in Temple about a year ago. And Drayton, I think, is 84, 86 years
Yep.
old. He's
Yep.
there at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And
He's a
and so
worker.
he's like I love that's what I want to be. I mean, I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
at
I'm with you.
84
I'm
years
with you.
old, I want to be there at 7:30 in
I'm
the
with
morning.
you.
Okay. So he said, Andy, I want every day you gotta make a difference. You gotta make a difference. And I realized that that was missing from our rock steps.
Hmm.
So we had a company meeting, flew everyone in from all around the country, and we added make a difference. And we talked about what does it mean? And for us, on our business side, we're shopping center investors, but we invest in a geography that's different. We invest in what are called hometowns. And hometowns are secondary, tertiary markets, under a million up to 100,000 or more. And we invest in an asset that actually affects quality of life in these communities.
Right.
And we, I think, do a really good job of transforming and protecting these assets, making sure they don't decay, they don't fall into bad actor hands. And we want to make a difference in these communities.
Right.
Okay. And that language, make a difference in the lives of everybody at RockStep, in the for our tenants, certainly for our investors, for our communities, is you have to talk about it, you have to think about it, you have to nuance it. And so that's very, I believe, consistent with your mission, your
Yeah.
company's mission.
Yeah.
Make a difference. Okay.
Well, let me say this. Every company is going to make a difference. The
Hmm.
question is, what kind of difference are you going to
Correct.
make?
Correct. Correct.
So to be intentional about the positive
Yes.
difference, because I could imagine, if you own a shopping center, small town, and it's the place everybody goes to shop. You know what I mean? It's part of
Yeah.
the fabric of the community, and you don't really take care of it. There's trash everywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
So,
you're making
so,
a difference, but not a positive one, right?
and we take it a step further, and so we do something different than any company in the country. When we go into what we call these hometowns, we require that we get local business owners to be partners with us.
That's smart.
And we can help move an asset from national ownership into local ownership and
Mm,
get this alignment between us and the community by getting local partners and local lenders and work with the city in a way that can reduce risk and improve returns. And I think we make a big difference for these communities and these partners.
I think that's a really interesting idea because, well, I think on the face of it, it immediately sounds smarter, okay, with alignment and this sort of thing. Well, aligned ownership, everybody's on the same road in the same direction. It also sounds harder.
Oh,
Uh,
it's harder
because
to
you could just
execute.
have a national banking relationship, just
Yeah.
bring in your institutional investors, and that seems easier.
Yeah. But our belief is that you have to reduce risk.
Yeah,
And in our properties, if we had local partners in Hot Springs, Arkansas,
right.
Scottsbluff, Nebraska, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Davenport, Iowa, wherever these are, issues like incentives or property taxes or
Mm,
entitlements or
great point.
alternative uses for an asset, by having local partners, they become our guides.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And it reduces risk.
Yes.
And investing, I believe, is about reducing risk.
Yeah.
Oh, to a large
Yeah,
extent, is
yeah, yeah,
about reducing risk.
yeah. Well, in a what is commonly known as a high leverage business, that is
Yes.
critical. And my gosh, has any business seen more change, even in the 30 years you've been doing this? You were talking about your family business in retail,
Yeah.
clothing company, right? I mean, you're now the landlord, if you will.
Yes.
I mean, but you're still in retail, as we were talking earlier. I mean, you've seen a lot of changes that continue, right? From
Correct.
online shopping to the
So,
malls struggling. I mean, what
so
you've had to do a lot of rock
let
steps.
me address that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, and I will just let you know. I don't know if I mentioned to you in our pre-call that I am the shopping center guy on Instagram. Okay. And we have a shopping center channel. We have the shopping center channel on YouTube. So
Love it.
our goal at RockStep is to be the country's leading educator of investing in shopping centers.
Love that.
Where was I going with this, Jeff?
Well, just the education. What's happening? What
Yeah,
rock
yeah,
steps
yeah.
have you
Okay,
had to make?
let's
What's
talk
going
about
on in the
retail.
industry?
Let's talk about retail. I'm going to talk about Amazon. I'm going to talk about malls.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, what's happened, particularly over the last 3 years, is that Amazon effect has changed. It's maturing.
Yeah.
Amazon wiped out lots of folks. Okay. But what happened is that those that survived had their own e-commerce strategy,
Uh-huh.
their own distribution network. They're great apps, okay?
Right.
And they were able not just to protect market share, but to take some market share away,
Hmm.
e-commerce wise. And so Amazon, starting in 2022, started to level off in terms
Hmm.
of its e-commerce market share.
Okay. Interesting.
That's number one, okay? And all these companies that survived, TJ Maxx, Ross, Aldi's, Five
Yep.
Below, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of them that survived. They have strong balance sheets,
Yeah.
and they're telling Wall Street that we're going to grow. TJ Maxx, 140 stores a year, Tractor Supply, 100, Ross, 125, Five Below, 125. And so all these companies are growing, but different than multifamily. Inventory is not growing. There's no more shopping centers. They're not being
Right.
built.
Right.
So all of these companies have a strategy to compete against Amazon, and they're growing into an inventory that's not growing.
Right.
That's a good supply demand dynamics. That's a
Okay.
favorable supply. So retail, which was an out of favor sector in commercial real estate prior to COVID, has become maybe the darling because we are the yield play. And when I say yield, um, there's a term called positive and negative leverage. Okay. So I'm going to explain it real quick. So positive leverage is when the yield at which you buy a property, it's called a cap rate, is greater than the interest rate on debt.
Yeah.
So for an example, we bought a grocery anchored center recently at a 9% yield, a 9 cap, and our debt was at 7%. So by adding debt, you're actually getting more cash flow to your
Right.
equity.
Right. 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 Right.
Called positive leverage. Now,
Got it.
I'm looking outside my window at a 500 uh, unit multifamily building that's valued at a 5 cap, 5%
Yeah.
yield, but debt is 5.5%. So you add debt, got negative leverage.
Right.
Okay. So that dynamic changed in 2022 when interest rates rose.
Right.
So retail has become the yield play, and investors who've gotten burned in multifamily and industrial are now open to retail when we were kind of shunned 2020. It was, it was
Right.
everybody, most commercial real estate investors had been in multifamily, number one, and then behind it was industrial.
Right.
So our world has changed as a result of kind of this Amazon effect. Now, the mall space is interesting because the mall space has a lot of um, debt that's insolvent. And you can buy these hometown malls at a 15% yield
Wow.
with a great cash flow, A plus locations in a market where if you combine it with local partners and local lender, you've got just a cash flow play. I tell people that we are just a boring cash flow company. I mean, we excel in boring. Okay, just boring cash flow. We're not into sex. We're not into sexy properties. We're into properties that throw off cash. So,
So do you think did that opportunity arise because of this sort of, like you said, the sort of rise of online and now maybe a flattening of the Amazon effect? And now, I mean, it's not like people, they still want to go out on the weekend and go shopping, right? I mean,
sure.
that has not been repealed from the human desire, right? I
Yeah.
mean, how do you
So,
think about the timing of that?
well, look, the Amazon effect has matured.
Right.
So, in terms of the e-commerce share, it's flattened.
Yeah.
And these other companies have gotten
Now
better.
they have good business models, new people retailers
Yeah.
who are good
Yeah.
quality tenants,
And,
right?
and you also have some sectors that have some immunity to
Yeah,
the
right.
Amazon. I'm going to use the example of off-pricers. So that's TJ Maxx with their
Right.
divisions like Marshalls and Home Goods and TJ
Yeah.
Maxx, Ross, Nordstrom Rack, Burlington. These are companies that have figured out a merchandise strategy. It's an everyday low pricing strategy and a cadence of markdowns that turns merchandise at 5 to 7 times a year
Wow.
and gets women excited.
Right, right.
Okay. My wife likes to go to the runway at TJ Maxx
See what's
where they
there.
have what's that?
See what's there. I mean,
And
it's
the idea of getting a $300 dress for 69.99
right.
that was at Macy's or at Neiman's, there's not much more exciting in life, Jeff. Okay, there's not much more.
Ah,
And now, does she need that dress?
no, no, but that's
Probably
cool. That's a
not.
really good explanation. I think that's
Yeah.
helpful. So,
Yeah.
what's your if people want to find you on these
Yeah.
channels, say the channel again, the YouTube
So
channel, and
so
your
so look, the best place to go is rockstep.com,
okay,
and we've got a learning center with well over 100 articles about everything in shopping, co-tenancy and exclusive provisions and different types, everything good and bad about shopping centers. And then we also have a lot of videos. And then we have on Instagram, I'm the shopping center guy. Please,
okay,
please like me. And then on the YouTube channel, please subscribe. We are the Shopping Center channel.
Got it.
Okay.
Shopping center
And
channel.
so our goal is to educate people about shopping centers. That's our goal.
Got it.
And everything's at rockstep.com.
Okay, perfect. We'll put that in the show notes as well. Uh, as we wrap up, Andy, this has been fantastic. I just love the rock step you've made in your career.
Yes. I had to rock step. I had to
You
rock step.
did. You are the absolutely. And
Yeah.
so, for somebody behind you on the journey, I always sort of think of somebody. Maybe things are starting to go well, but there's all kind of challenges out there, and they really need to put these principles in place and tighten up the ship a little bit. What's just something they could do, tomorrow or this week to just take maybe one baby step in the right direction? What would be your advice to them to start moving in the right direction?
Yeah, it's great question. A lot of thoughts come to mind, so I'm going to go in a couple different directions
Sure,
here.
go ahead.
I think you have to, and this is like talking to my kids. I mean, it's the same kind of
Exactly.
comment. You have to get sleep. You have to eat healthy. You have to get exercise. You have to take care of yourself. And then success depends upon being gritty. You got to work hard. I mean, business is hard.
Right.
I'm amazed by how hard business is. And we've been successful. But you look out and you look at the competitive environment, you look at trying to identify a great investment and putting the pieces together to minimize risk. It's hard.
It is.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And you've got to have persistence and got to let crap fall off your shoulders.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Take care of yourself, and then kind of put on your oxygen mask, and then be
Keep
willing
family
to
first. Keep family first.
right, keep the family first, and then go out there and
Yeah. And
don't
and
quit. It's
yeah,
one of our
and
principles.
it's interesting. Look, the owner has to work harder than everybody. That's just the way
Right.
it is. Okay. And for me, at least, identifying what kind of behaviors I want for me and I want for everybody here, and really thinking through not just the specific behaviors, but the nuance behind each. It's all nuance, and thinking it through, testing it out, talking about it. Um, it's a great exercise, and yeah, so those are my comments.
I love it. I love it. And then I think as you develop your own principles, I know our president and I, we kind of drafted kind of a draft of kind of what we thought maybe the principles should be, and then we thought we kind of have this figured out,
Sure.
and then we brought it to the team, the early team, and they changed some of the wording, brought some new ideas and that kind of thing, and it gave them ownership of it as well. Have you done some of that early days on the rock steps? I mean, how did
Oh
you
yeah, yeah. So when I started the Rock Steps, I brought in our leadership team and I said,
yeah,
okay,
good
let's figure this out.
together?
What are the kind of behaviors do we want for this
Yes.
company? We put about 100 ideas on it.
Right.
Spent all day on it. And then I looked at that and I said, okay, which ones of these 100 really, really fit who I am?
Yeah.
Okay. And I narrowed it down to then 25. We added one more. For the first time, we made a change, 26. And then I started working through the nuance, 2 to 3 or 4 sentences for each of these rock
Yes. Yes.
steps
Yes.
that can define the nuance. It's all about nuance.
I agree.
Okay. And
I agree.
so that exercise was very critical.
I love it. I just think you've mined some gold there, and I think, frankly, I think God used that family business you were a part of earlier in your career to really You just learned some amazing lessons, and you've done some rock steps, and you continue to do it. So thanks so much for sharing your story with our listeners today.
Look, Jeff, it's my pleasure. Hats off to you. I will share that any of the listeners who have questions for me, they can either email me or call me on my mobile. My email address is my full name at rockstep.com. Okay.
Perfect.
Andy Weiner at rockstep.com. And then I'll share with you my mobile, 832-816-4666. Please feel free to reach out to me. Love to talk about the RockSteps or family businesses, governance. I mean, I made all the mistakes, Jeff. Made all the mistakes. Okay. Lots of learning.
Well, listen, you're just down the street, so I'm going to be calling the number and I'll buy you lunch and pick your brain some more offline. Thanks
Love
again.
It. Hey, Jeff, thanks.
Okay, thank you, and thanks everybody for listening to this week's Generous Business Owner Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, share it with a friend, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Generous Business Owner Podcast with Jeff Thomas, Alan Barnhart, and Jeff Rutt. Make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can find the guest contact information in the show notes. Stay tuned for the next episode.